All right, guys. So far, we have done, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 systems. We've done 6 organ systems. You just concluded the cardiovascular system. Can you tell me the 5 systems we have yet to do? Lymphatic, digestive, reproductive, respiratory, urinary. When I first asked you about the 11 systems at the beginning of the year, and if you can name all 11, there was one system that a lot of you didn't know of, or it's definitely not the first one people tend to think of, and it is the one that we are beginning today. Do you know what we're starting today? The lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is next on our journey through the human body. We'll be going over this for the next 2 weeks. Your next test is 2 weeks from yesterday. Okay. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about the lymphatic system as an introduction before we put any pen to pad and start taking some notes. Have any of you ever had a professional massage where you paid someone to give you a massage? Aiden, do you know what type of massage it was? Deep tissue. What about you, Zoe? You don't know? Okay. Well, we'll figure it out. So there's a lot of massage spas in Tampa, and here's one called Essential Massage and Spa. It's on Gandy. I was just trying to find one. There's what are some other companies that have them? Massage Envy is one. Massage Studio. There's Soho or Hyde Park. Hyde Park Spa and Massage. So this kind of goes back to what I was telling you guys yesterday about you want to make sure you do well in school, you can get a good job and make a good living and have some money in your pocket, because look at the cost of some of these massages. Let's say Carson just has a really, really, really rough day at work. I just need some me time. I want to get a good massage.
Every minute's $1.
Yeah. So these things are not cheap. So here's what Aiden said he had. Deep tissue massage that really gets down into your deeper muscle layers, releases some lactic acid that might be stored up, get those knots out. You might have a hot stone massage. Look at that one, neuromuscular massage. Definitely you've heard that before. They get your trigger points. Medical massage, perhaps after surgery or maybe injury. Prenatal, if you're a mom and your whole body hurts, you just want this baby out of you, get a little prenatal massage. Foot massage, amazing. I know how much you like your feet rubbed. And then we have this one I want to focus on, a lymphatic drainage massage. You typically need to have one of these after a type of cosmetic surgery like plastic surgery. The one I'm going to focus on particularly is liposuction. I'm going to give you a little lesson about body fat. Body fat doesn't go away. No matter how many sit-ups you do, no matter how many miles you run, fat does not go away. Olivia, could you close the door for me? The cells that make up your fat tissue can get bigger or smaller, but they don't go away unless you have them surgically removed through a process such as liposuction. Lipo means fat, suction means to suck out. Well, I want to kind of give you guys a visual here. You don't need to write anything yet of what happens when you have liposuction. So let's say that you had too many cupcakes and some love handles. And you're a little conscious about it. Some people tend to be. And you want to have it removed. Well, again, no matter how many sit-ups you do, they're not going away. So you want to get some liposuction. This is all fat. I'm going to represent that with the yellow highlighter. Fat's typically a whitish yellow. So the doctor is going to put you under anesthesia, local anesthetic typically. You don't need to be put to sleep for this. And they're basically going to just suck all that out. Well, you might think, okay, my skin's just going to go whoop, get real tight. Maybe 6 months later, not immediately after, you're going to have the void. You're going to have like a pocket of where all that fat was. And what's going to fill that pocket? Fluid. This fluid is called interstitial fluid. You have fluid that is in between your cells, in between your tissues, throughout your body. If you've ever swollen up, like if you injured yourself and you have an inflammatory response and you get like maybe a swollen finger or a swollen toe, swollen lip, That's interstitial fluid. It's fluid beyond your cells. It's interstitial means between your tissues. This is called induration. And the indurated tissue is just going to be really swollen. And your doctor is going to tell you before the surgery, they're going to say, you need to make an appointment with a person that does this. And they're going to focus on helping you drain. That's what lymphatic drainage massage is all about. Your lymphatic system has several jobs, one of which is to drain your tissues of excessive fluid that accumulates within your tissues. So if you may have to go to the massage parlor maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, however many times it takes to just get all that fluid out of there. I have a friend who went through this, and she said after her surgery, her first massage, it was like really painful because there was so much fluid that filled that area around her waist that it like hurt to put on pants just because it was so tight around her waist. So the massage therapist just got rid of it all, and you could definitely see things start to kind of come in. And maybe 6 months later, things will get tightened up, especially if you're younger, you have more collagen and elastin. It'll be easier for a 26-year-old to do this rather than like a 56-year-old. And you'll start to see that noticeable reduction in swelling in your waist or wherever it is you had liposuction. But it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a month. It's going to probably take like 6 months, but it will eventually happen. So you want all this to eventually go away, guys. And then this can end up like that. So it takes time. Yes, Dylan. That's a good question. Where does it end up? That's what we're going to get to today. Where does all this fluid go? That's a good question. So to get us started today, we are going to go over the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system today is just going to be kind of an intro of what it does, what it's made of, and what its job is. Before I get into that, I want to show you a story that I remember seeing on a TV show that used to be on Discovery Channel called Monsters Inside Me. I want you to read the headline of this story. It says, a parasite at war in a vet's body. So there used to be a channel called Discovery Health, just like there's Discovery Channel, there's National Geographic. Well, this channel had a couple shows I thought were entertaining. One was called Monsters Inside Me. People have all these different parasites. And it just so happened that the show that followed up this show was called I Didn't Know I Was Pregnant, which is kind of like another monster inside me. People didn't know that they had a kid. Well, the story that was depicted in this article was actually on the show. And it was about a Vietnam veteran who lived in Tampa. And he had an issue where his legs were getting really, really, really swollen. They were getting so swollen that fluid was oozing out of his pores. Kind of nasty. So he went to a doctor, and the doctor's like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. This man had Elephantiasis, which I think there it is. This is where your lymphatic system can't drain. It's like having a big blockage in a pipe. And so all that fluid just builds up and builds up and builds up. So they're trying to find out, why is his lymphatic system not draining? And eventually they got around to asking him, have you been out of the country? And the man says, not since I was in Vietnam in the 60s. And the doctor's like, that's it. That's it. You were bitten by a bug. The doctor's like, huh? Yeah. This bug, which is in that area of the world, it bit you. And when it bit you, it likely injected a parasite into you, an egg. And for 40 years, this thing was inside of you. And it hatched. And it was this big worm. And the worm clogged up his lymphatic system like a hairball or a blood clot. And that was it. And so they gave him medication, which would get into his blood and kill the parasite and break it all down. And eventually they would massage all that out and he would be fine. But this is an example of your lymphatic system not at work. This condition here is known as elephantiasis, not to be confused with elephantitis. Itis means inflammation. If you said elephantitis, you're saying that I have an inflamed elephant. This is just the overaccumulation of fluids in a limb, typically your legs. It can be caused by this parasite. It gets into your lymphatic system, typically by being bitten by a mosquito of some sort. And the worm goes, there's like an egg, it goes into your body and it gestates inside your lymphatic system and it clogs up, basically it clogs up your pipes and you can't drain properly. So these are just some practical applications of the lessons you'll be learning throughout this unit. Lymphatic is typically not the first thing people think of when they think of the body. We think of bones and muscles and nerves and organs, but lymphatic system, the heck is that? So let's go and get started on what the lymphatic system is, what it does, and what it's made up of. Okay. So without the lymphatic system,
wait, this is unit
13. Without the lymphatic system, the cardiovascular system would fail. That's why this is a good follow-up for cardiovascular. It's nice to get into lymphatic. Not only would the cardiovascular system fail, you'd also have no immune system. So your lymphatic system has one job, which is to drain your tissues of excessive fluid. The other job is your immune system. We will talk about immunity. It's a very good lesson to have, especially with the world that we've been living in the last 2 years. COVID, immunity, antibodies, we'll talk all about it. White blood cells. So for now, the lymphatic system's job, just like every organ system has a job to do. The lymphatic system returns fluids that have leaked from the vascular system, which is your blood vessels, back to the blood. Your blood is majority plasma. 55% roughly is plasma. And that plasma is definitely mostly water, by far the majority. So the majority of your blood is water. Interstitial fluid is also water. Whenever you've had a swollen lip, swollen nose, swollen ear, swollen finger, whatever it is, that is interstitial fluid. It's lymphatic edema or lymphedema. I don't think I'm going to get to lymphedema today, but we'll eventually get to it. What does the lymphatic system consist of? The lymphatic system consists of lymphatic vessels. You have blood vessels and you have lymphatic vessels. You have a network of lymphatic vessels all throughout your body. The fluid that is inside your lymphatic vessels is called lymph. This is the fluid within the vessels. And you have lymph nodes. If you've ever been sick and you can feel something kind of swollen in your throat, like right here where I'm pointing on just underneath my jaw, you might say, oh my gosh, my glands are so swollen. I've heard that said so many times. It's not your glands. Those are your lymph nodes. You have lymph nodes in your neck, a high concentration in your neck, your armpits, and your groin. Those are the 3 areas of your body where you have a lot. I'm going to come back to that in a little bit, but lymph nodes cleanses lymph as lymph passes through them. So it's kind of like filter stations. It is also where a lot of white blood cells congregate. And when you are sick, you tend to have a lot of white blood cells. So it's not unusual if you have swollen lymph nodes while you're ill. That's actually pretty normal. So don't be surprised if you can feel something swollen in your neck when you're sick. That's not out of the ordinary. Now, we also have some lymphatic organs. When I say, I'm going to say an organ, I want you guys to tell me the organ system, okay? I'm going to just throw a few out there. Stomach, lungs, heart, bladder, thyroid, endocrine, brain. What are lymphatic organs? Thyroid's endocrine. Skin is integumentary. Your what? Those aren't organs. Bone marrow is bone. Skeleton. Lymphatic vessel is not an organ. I haven't said them yet. Nice try, Mason. Kidneys are urinary. Appendix is part of your digestive system. No. Spleen. Anybody know where your spleen is? Anybody point to it?
Oh yeah, wait, right here. Yeah.
Kind of close. Yeah, left side, about right here. It's on your left side. Your spleen is just a big, not big, but it's a moderately sized pulpy organ. It's where a lot of blood gets filtered. That's why it looks kind of pulpy. If you were to cut it open, it just looks like a pomegranate, just really pulpy. Let's see what else we got. Thymus. Your thymus is on your heart. When you were a baby, it looks really big, but it does not grow with you. So as you get bigger, it doesn't. And so when you're an adult, it's hard to find. It's on your heart. And then your tonsils. Your tonsils have a minor immune function. Has anyone had their tonsils removed? And here you are, living and breathing, you're just fine. Your tonsils have a minor immune function, nothing major. So you can live without them. Yes, Carson?
Why do you have them?
They serve an immune function. They have a job, but it's like you can, if I cut off your pinky toe, you're gonna be fine. It's a minor.
No, I know, but like, what does it do?
It helps produce or it helps regulate white blood cells. Immune function. Okay. Now, when it comes to lymphatic vessels, lymph nodes, and lymph itself, we have something called interstitial fluid. This is going to be really important for you guys to get for the next 2 weeks. Interstitial fluid. Do you remember when a couple months ago I showed you all a video of a hand with really bad second-degree burns, and they poked it with scissors, and it was like spewing out like water after you poke a water balloon. Then they cut it open and all just drained out. That was interstitial fluid. It's fluid that is secreted out of your blood, and it's in your tissues. If you've ever gotten a second-degree burn and you had a heat blister, that fluid is interstitial fluid. Interstitial fluid is fluid from blood that is released within capillary beds. A capillary bed is where you have a bunch of capillaries within your body. You have a capillary bed in the tips of your fingers. If you were to pinch your finger until your fingernail turns white, you are cutting out the blood supply. And then if you let go, it turns pink again. That's the return of blood flow. So if I drew a bunch of blood vessels here, what type of blood vessels are these? Hint, hint, I'm drawing them as red. Arteries. And then what are these? So what do you call the area where an artery and a vein meet? That's a capillary. Very good. Well, here, all this, these are lymphatic vessels. So we have lymphatic vessels, and we have a capillary bed. What's happening here is that there's fluid that's being taken from your blood, and it is going into your lymphatic system. and your lymph nodes will kind of clean it up. Your spleen will clean it up and then return it to your blood. Dylan was asking, what about when you have induration, like that person with liposuction? Where does all that go? What about that guy with a swollen giant tree trunk of a leg? Where does all that go? It can get distributed back throughout your lymphatic system. It can also be redirected to your kidneys, and you can pee it out in the toilet. So you guys make about 3 liters of lymph a day. And I'm not, I was raised in America. I'm trying to figure out how many gallons is a liter, put that in perspective. Hey, Siri, how many gallons is 3 liters?
3 liters is 0.79 gallons.
So a little more than 3/4 of a jug of milk. You make that much lymph a day. Okay. What would happen if you did not return the lymph back to your blood? What would happen to your blood? What would happen to your blood pressure? It would go down. So that's something really important to know. If the leaked fluid is not returned to blood, there would it be insufficient or more than sufficient blood volume? Volume is the amount of space occupied. Insufficient. There would be insufficient blood volume. When you're dehydrated, you have insufficient blood volume. If you get up and things turn black and you almost lose your balance because you're kind of losing your vision, you're dehydrated. You have low blood volume. Maybe. It's possible. Oh, I don't know. Ceiling shaking, probably the air conditioning. All right. Now, I want to try to draw for you the tip of a lymphatic vessel. So they look like this. So this is the tip of a lymphatic vessel. I want you to look right here and right here. There are gaps. These cells, these cells are called interstitial cells. They overlap each other, but they're not really bound to each other. Because they're not tightly joined, they allow for leakage. They allow for absorption and leakage. These basically act like miniature flaps or mini flaps, and it lets fluid in and out. All right, so now I have a very, very important notice for all of you. No matter what age you are, raise your hand if you know someone that has had cancer. Nearly everyone. Here's a very important fact when it comes to cancer and your lymphatic system. This is really important. Unfortunately, cancer and viruses can use these lymphatic vessels and lymph nodes to travel throughout the body. In fact, I'm sure you guys have likely heard that there are stages of cancer. There's stage 0, there's stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. Stage 3 and 4 have to do with your lymphatic system. So I'm going to try to draw for you what a lymph node looks like. It's actually pretty simple. So this is the node. And all these vessels that are connecting to it, what do you suppose those are? Lymphatic vessels. Easy. The lymph nodes basically receive lymph and clean it so the lymph can go back to your blood and be cleansed. Here's the problem. Let me try to relate to something that's more relatable to you. Then I'll show you the lymphatic system and why this is really important lesson for your lives right now. Back in October, you guys had a substitute. And I'm very seldom not here. I'm usually always here. I know you love it. You walk in, you're like, boy, I'm happy he's here. Well, that one time I wasn't here, I was way up in Chicago. I was there for a wedding. And let's delete that. Let's start over. Let's go to maps.google.com. So I'm going to tell you a little story. It has to do with your lymphatic system. So let's go up to Chicago, Illinois. All right, here we are. Chicago on the banks of Lake Michigan. And this was a weekend where there were more than 3,000 flights canceled throughout the country. And I remember waking up Sunday morning at our hotel. We drove to Wisconsin, which is like 1.5 miles north for a wedding. And I was like, my fiance at that time I told her, look at your phone. She got the plane tickets. I said, check if our plane is still going. And it wasn't. And this is Sunday morning. Like, we're screwed. Try and find another flight because we plan on flying back to Tampa, get home by 6 p.m. on Sunday. And I come to work here with you guys on Monday. That didn't happen. And so she found another flight. And before we could even pay for tickets, that flight was canceled. So I said, screw it. We're renting a car. I'm driving. I am committed to driving. I don't care how long it is. We will drive back to Florida. So we stood in line for an hour to get a rental car and off we went. Now, if you take the right roads, wherever you go in America, wherever you go on this continent, you can get from one place to another. So let's say we started at O'Hare International Airport in Chicago, and we wanted to go to Tampa, Florida. And we drove. We took that exact route all the way there. 17 hours. So I obviously was not here that Monday. We didn't get home till 4:30 that Monday. We left about 3:30 on Sunday. My point is that if we made the right turns, we took the right left, the right, and we continued down the interstate all the way down from Chicago to Tampa. Now, in your body, you have your immune system or your lymphatic system, which technically is your immune system. So let's go back to your notes. And I want you to check out this. This is your lymphatic system. Your thymus is that thing over your heart right there. There's your spleen on your left side. And if you look, all those little green nodules are lymph nodes. You have a high concentration of lymph nodes in your neck, your armpits, and your pelvis. So girls are going to talk to you first. Guys get this too, but girls just get it more often because they have more breast tissue. We're talking about breast cancer. Now, girls, when you get to be in your 40s, unless recommendations change, you're likely going to have to get some mammograms. Basically, they put your breast in this machine to determine if there's any lumps in there. No one knows your body better than you, and you know what feels normal and what doesn't feel normal. All too often, a woman can develop a breast tumor like right there. That could be stage 1. It's localized, it's in its own little pouch, and it's not growing. Stage 2, it's growing, but it hasn't reached a lymph node yet. And then stage 3, it has reached a lymph node. Stage 4 is not only when it has reached a lymph node, it has traveled to other areas of the body. And if you know anything about cancer, there is no stage 5. Stage 4 is the end of the road. I have an aunt about 4 years ago. She died of breast cancer. She fought breast cancer for like 20 years. And what got her is not the breast cancer itself, because the breasts are not vital organs. You can live without them. It's the fact that the breast tumor used her lymphatic system to spread to her liver, her spine, and her brain. And so she died of brain, liver, and spine cancer. So you have to check yourself. They say, you know, check your breast, make sure you don't feel any lumps, because you want to catch it early so it doesn't get to those high concentrations of lymph nodes in your armpits, which are your axillary lymph nodes. Now, for the guys, you have a high concentration of lymph nodes in your pelvic region. Between the late teens and early 20s is when males are most likely to develop testicular cancer. In fact, there's a family here that went to play in high school. I'm not going to say their name in the video, but it was broadcast on ESPN and everything, where one of them went to college and got testicular cancer. It's like 20 or 21 years old. Went to Moffitt Cancer Center, got treatment, and beat it. But think about 20. Some of you will be 20 in 2 years, 3 years. So you need, same thing as I just told the girls, check yourself. No one knows you better than you. Guys, no one knows your body better than you too. And you need to be on the lookout, just because this stuff does happen. And it's early detection means that it's less of a problem. So you have to definitely check, because once it reaches your lymph nodes, just like how I got on the right roads in Chicago, I was able to drive to Tampa. This tumor could maybe start in your testicle or start in your breast, and it could go to your liver. It can go to your pancreas. It can go to your brain. It can go anywhere in your body. Just like if you take the right roads, you can go anywhere in the continent. Okay. All right. So I want to definitely make sure you guys get that lesson. That's really important stuff. Okay, let's start to finish up for today. What are y'all whispering about? Okay. Let's talk about lymphatic transport. Now, you have two means of transports in your body. You have your cardiovascular system and you have your lymphatic system. What does your cardiovascular system have that your lymphatic system doesn't? A heart, Aiden. Good. Your heart is a pump. It pumps blood throughout your whole body. Is there anything to pump lymph throughout your whole body? No. This system lacks a pump. So how is this supposed to flow throughout your body? Your heart generates pressure and it pushes blood throughout your circulatory system. Now, if your lymphatic system doesn't have a pump, how would you describe the pressure within your lymphatic vessels? High or low? Low. The pressure is low. Not very good for trying to push water. You ever try to shoot a water gun that has no pressure in it? It doesn't come out. You ever turn on a faucet when the water's off? Nothing comes out. There's no pressure. So how are things supposed to flow? Here's how. No heart, no pump, no pressure. Here's how it happens. The pulsing of the cardiovascular system. It's one way to help it move along. The contraction of skeletal muscles, walking, jogging, getting up out of the car after a long road trip, moving your muscles, getting the blood flowing a little bit, move your body. That will help it move along. One of the best things you can do to recover from a surgery, whether it's minimal or like invasive, is after you've had the appropriate amount of time to kind of just recover in bed, you need to get up and just move around. I'm not saying do the Olympics, but just move your body around. We're not meant to be sedentary. You need to move around a little bit. And finally, your lymphatic vessels are made of smooth muscle and they contract. All right. So that friend of mine who had this surgery, she was just really not being active. And, just me knowing what I know, I'm telling her, you got to move around a little bit. You've had a week to recover. You go for a walk. Walk to the garbage can. I don't care. Just move your body because that's going to help you drain. You can't just sit there. That's not going to get things moving. All right, we're going to stop there because that's where our second period stopped. We have about 10 minutes to go.